UFC Fight Night Ribas versus Namajunas takes place this Saturday. Is it the best card in the world? No. Are we a little late? Yeah, we're a little late, but we've got your full card breakdown coming up next. Stay right here.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of D107 MMA. I'm DS, and as always, I'm here with my guy, Dino Bam Bam.
What up, DS? How's it going, man?
You know, I'm a little fucking ticked off, my friend.
I know you are. I know.
I'm a little fucking pissed off, bro, because, you know, the UFC is really grinding my gears with these fucking pathetic, no good, garbage-ass fight night cards. And I gotta sit here and I gotta fucking watch hours and hours of film on fucking Igor Severino and fucking Mick Parkin, like Kurt Holobaugh. I got the pleasure of watching 6 fucking women's like fucking fights. Like, this is just trash, bro. It's trash. Yeah. I'm sick of it. And then they're like, but no, babe, it's okay. Like, it's okay, babe. I got UFC 300, like a little bit of that. Like, it's like, okay, fine, but this is toxic. You know, It's fucking garbage. Anyway, let's just get right the fuck through it.
Let's go.
Do your little thing. Let them know all the stuff and things.
Yeah, guys, stuff and things coming up. If you guys are enjoying the channel or have enjoyed the channel previously, do us a favor, hit that little subscribe button, ring the little bell. Dino, little depressed bell.
I'm not doing it, bro.
He's not even doing the bell. That's how shitty these UFC cards have been and are going to be until 300, right? But that's the sound of the bell, guys. Ring the bell.
And then, not only that, have you seen fucking UFC 301?
Yeah, it's tough. Steve Urseg.
What does that look like?
I don't know, man. But you guys can also follow us on Instagram at D107MMA. Now, Dino, you can get into your arguing or venting. Sorry.
I'm done venting, bro. Just fucking bullshit. Like,
I agree.
This trash-ass sport. Anyway, let's get right into it, guys. Boy, is it going to be exciting. And we start off with a true slobber knocker. Muhammad Usman taking on Mick Parkin's fat ass. Dino, let me know what you think about this one.
All right, we start with these guys, 2 big boys, Muhammad Usman and Mick Parkin. Muhammad Usman, of course, Kamaru's younger brother, nowhere near as good as his brother, unfortunately for him. He is a big athletic dude. He's sort of well-rounded. He's okay at everything. He does have some good power. He's been trying to utilize his wrestling more and more as of late, so I guess that's good to see for Mo Usman. On the side of Mick Parkin, he's a slow-paced heavyweight, man. Good boxing. He uses that to get into the clinch. He does have a good ground game, good jiu-jitsu, good control. Like, that's really what he's about. 2 kind of whatever heavyweights here, Dino. Parkin is the younger fighter here by about 6 years. I don't think either one of these guys is too great, and Usman is definitely the more dangerous of the 2, but I think Parker's a little bit better everywhere, and he's younger. Parkin, sorry, not Parker. I'm thinking about Parker Porter, the GOAT. He would be interesting on this card. But yeah, Mick Parkin is my pick by decision. He's younger. He's just a little more well-rounded. And I forgot to do this thing. I'm supposed to do this while I'm talking, but you get it now.
Whatever, bro. Yeah, very low-level heavyweight fight. Mick Parkin, just a plotter, you know. I at first, when he came out versus Jamal Pogues, I thought I was like, this guy's pretty good. He can move around a little bit for a heavyweight, pepper people with shots, but he's got no power. And I think it was just the Jamal Pogues effect. Jamal Pogues is garbage. Mick Parkin, not good. His last fight, he looked like shit. So it really kind of tanked my opinion of him. Neither of these guys are finishers. Mo Usman, a lot more power. If it gets to the ground, I think Mo Usman has the advantage. So Mick Parkin, no power, fat. Mo Usman, less fat, more power. I'm going Mo Usman by decision.
And that's fair. I mean, you know, with the odds being this close and 2 lower level heavyweights, who knows? I just think he's just going to be more aggressive. Mick Parkin doesn't want to fight, dude. So, and for what it's worth, Mick Parkin undefeated, right?
Yeah, fuck right off with that, though. Yeah, you know? He ain't never seen somebody like me, though.
Hey, come on now.
Anyway, moving on to the next fight of the night. We have the pleasure of watching 2 guys making their debut. I'm, of course, talking about Igor Severino. He's taking on Andre Lima. Doesn't this motherfucker have like seven names? He went by some like Igor da Silva or some shit. Like, he was going by some different ass shit.
It'd be like that.
Anyway, the audacity to sit here and make me learn several of your names when you're trash. No, listen, it's an interesting matchup. Both Brazilians making their UFC debut after the Contender Series. Severino got the finish, but Lima looked really good too, right? Both guys have a lot of skill on their feet. I give the ground advantage to the younger guys in Severino. Dude's 20 years old, so super, super, super young. He fights like a lot more complex and mature than somebody who's 20 years old, so I give him credit for that. Lima, also really young, 25 years old. I feel like Lima's going to have the power advantage here. My feelings are that if Igor is a smart fighter, he should win this. But he scares me with how willing he is to stand and bang, and he leaves his chin really open. With the amount of power that Lima has at flyweight, I feel like that could be bad for him. I expect it to be close. I almost wish they were not fighting each other. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, you know, I like to fade these contender series guys a lot of the time. So from a betting perspective, it's like, why are we doing this? And they did this a couple times on this card. I'm just afraid Igor's going to get caught, man. He held his chin up. Lima's shown really good takedown defense, so I do expect it to stay on the feet. I'm going Lima by decision, landing the bigger shots.
All right, and I get it. And I kind of, I'm kind of with you on that. I like Severino. I think he's clean. He's got good power. But, yes, he's wild as hell, and he does get brawly, right? Lima, he's a little more polished. It's a 25-year-old versus a 20-year-old. So these are two young dudes. But at 25, I feel like you're going to be a lot more polished. You're going to be a lot more refined than you are at 20. For what it's worth, two guys that are undefeated, both guys that want to keep it on the feet. I do think Lima gets it done because his striking is better from a technical aspect, but Severino is dangerous. So take all that with a grain of salt. I'm also going by decision here for Lima.
Nice. For what it's worth, I just want to give a quick shout out. You said he gets real brawly.
Yeah.
For all my DBZ fans, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. We lost a true legend.
There it is.
Anyway, moving on. Third fight of the night, we've got Montserrat Rendon, the Mexican, taking on Daria Zheleznikova, the Russian. Trash. What do you think about this?
All right. Interesting name. I'm not even going to try to say that right now, Dino.
You know what's funny? And I feel like it's her name. I'm sure like there's similarities in Bosnian and Russian.
Yeah.
I bet her name is something revolving around steel. Because for like in my language, Żelezo, which is it's steel. So
okay. So she's Stilikova, baby. Let's get it.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Daria Stilikova. All right. Montserrat Rendon, 6-0. She's a grappler. We know she's really aggressive with her jab. She's constantly moving forward, trying to get into the clinch. She does use her trips a lot in the clinch, and that's basically what she wants to get to. Last time out in her debut, she beat Tamaris Vidal. It was a huge upset. Daria, she's coming in, man. She's a striker who has a ton of techniques, great clinch work, good power. She does look like a fun striker. She's down to bang at all times, which I'm super down for. When you get these new girls coming into the UFC, you at least want some sort of something to cling onto, right? Something to grab onto and just be like, she might be something. So with her, she is exciting. This fight basically boils down to grappler versus striker at the end of it, but the grappler is willing to stand up. Montserrat Rendon is willing to stand up if need be. Daria has shown an inability, Dino, from the film that I've seen to keep the fight on the feet, especially in her loss. She was taken down. I got to go with Rendon. And in my notes, it says I got to go with Tendon. So I'm going to do that. I'm going with Rendon. I feel like maybe she gets a takedown and rides this fight out. Sort of rooting for Daria, the newcomer. It'd be interesting to have something to root for in one of these women's divisions.
Yeah. The name Montserrat is a cool name.
It is a cool name.
Yeah, you broke it down, man. It's a classic wrestler / grappler versus a striker. You know, for me, it really comes down to, can Rendon get Zheleznikova down? And I think she can. I agree with you 100%. If it stays on the feet, Rendon is going to get rocked. The striking difference is vast, pretty vast. I just think she has enough know-how in the striking that she can hold her own until she gets her down, because I feel like Zheleznikova really has nothing as far as takedown defense and groundwork. So, yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to go Rendon by decision, getting her down, just, landing a little bit of ground and pound. Maybe the sub could potentially be there. I don't think it will. But, yeah, I agree with you.
How you feeling about this, like, Windows 2000, Windows Vista background we got going on today?
Oh, my God, it is a Windows. I was going to say Windows Vista.
Windows Vista, baby.
Anyway, next fight of the night, we've got Steve Wynn taking on Jarno Aarons.
Yo boy, Jarno Aarons, right? That's a yo boy?
Absolutely not a my boy. You know what? I thought I was going to like him. I liked his tape on the regional scene, so I thought I would like him more. But listen, the dude just doesn't want to win. He like doesn't want to go for a win in any way. And you know how much I hate that. Like I love fighters that go for it. I love fighters that show a lot of heart. He's the opposite of that. I mean, listen, he had a decently close fight with Gomez and who else was it? I have it written down somewhere. I forgot who else it was, but he's obviously he hasn't won, you know, but he had some somewhat close fights. I'm gonna go with Steve Wynn, man. You know, I think he's super composed. He pushes a nice pace. My only question with Steve Wynn is like we saw him get the knockout on the Contender Series, right? Is that his game though? I feel like I didn't see a lot of that outside of that. I feel like it was just kind of like it was a super aggressive fighter that he was fighting, leaves his chin open, and Steve Wynn has enough power to land the shot. I feel like a more typical, at least from what I've seen, maybe this was a turning a corner for him, but at least from what I've seen, a more typical Steve Wynn performance, in my opinion, is more like not as much power, more volume though. So we'll see. You know, I think John Aaron's again, he just doesn't really go for it, man. I expect Steve Wynn to be the aggressor. He's shown me more, you know, even in the short amount of time that I've seen him. I got to go with him. I'm going to go by decision. I think there is a possibility of a knockout. I think John Aaron's is a good enough striker where that's not going to happen. But yeah, give me Steve Wynn.
Cool. I'm going to just cut to it. I am also going with Steve Wynn. But what I want to say, Dino, is, yeah, it was a little bit of a weird performance, but he is a finisher, right? He has 7 wins by finish, 2 by decision. The last time we've actually seen him on the Contender Series twice, right?
But it wasn't against like the best competition.
Right, of course. I get that. I mean, look, we saw him on the Contender Series. What is that? 3 times? He's been on it 3 times.
Oh, he was, yeah, so he's a rare 3-time veteran. Got knocked the fuck out the first time.
And then won the next 2, right?
Win the second time, didn't get a contract, and then got got a knockout, brutal knockout the last time.
Over AJ Cunningham.
So talking what I just said the last fight.
Yeah.
Or actually at the beginning of this, like that, like look at the difference in what the mentality of what somebody like Steve Wynn has shown me, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm gonna come back 3 fucking times and I'm gonna get it done. And somebody like John Aaron's who seems like he's just fucking lollygagging out there. So
yeah. No, I get it. Look, man, and I do think he's gonna win, but I do want to say something about Jarno Aaron's. He has a fun striking style. Like he looks the part, so I get where you're coming from. Like when we were watching the old film, right? When he was making his UFC debut and we were watching the film, I was with you, man. I was like, this guy's pretty fun. He's interesting. But yeah, I feel like he just doesn't have that dog in him. But anyways, Wynn is the pick. He's better to me everywhere, really. The only question is maybe his cardio. Maybe like we don't get to see him go late, or we haven't seen him get to go too late into fights as of late, right? We saw it earlier against kind of like bummy competition. I don't imagine that that's going to be too much of an issue in this fight, though. I feel like, Dino, he's going to get himself a finish here pretty quickly. I'm going Wynn by TKO late.
You just went muted. Say it again. You're going Wynn by finish, late
first round, right? I think he's just going to show that he's a step or 2 above Jarno Aaron's, who I don't really think is UFC caliber, to be honest with you. That sucks to say, but
yeah, and I had higher expectations, but it is what it is. Anyway, next fight of the night, we've got Miles Johns taking on Cody Gibson. Dino Bam, give me your breakdown on that one.
All right, let's get it. Miles Johns versus Cody Gibson, man. Miles Johns, he's a wrestler, Dino, but he has very, very heavy hands. He's one of those dudes that kind of left the wrestling behind as soon as he found himself a knockout. He started to fall in love with his hands. That's a story that's as old as time in MMA. So it was nice to see that last time out when he beat Dan Argueta, he was utilizing the wrestling. And Dan Argueta, as we know, a pretty damn good wrestler. The only thing that concerns me is a lot of it was defensive wrestling, right? He wasn't really going for it. And you would think in like a wrestler versus wrestler matchup, a dude like Miles Johns, who's constantly to me like a dude that wants to put his balls on the table. You know what I mean? He wants to show he's that dude. So why not go wrestle the wrestler and show that you're superior? But anyways, that fight ended up being a no contest, but he essentially won that fight.
Right.
Are you just texting me? I'm tripping out right now. I just look at my phone. I get a hi. How are you? But anyways, he's fighting Cody Gibson of Ultimate Fighter fame, right? He's a veteran striker. He's really long-bodied for the division. He, of course, lost to Brad Katona in the finals. Showed some holes in his wrestling game in that one. On the feet, Gibson's miles ahead of Miles. And I think he really needs to use that wrestling and not forget it here. So if he decides to keep this on the feet, Dino, and we have a kickboxing match, I feel like Miles probably loses it. And if he goes for the takedowns, I think it's a lot easier of a fight for him. I think he's going to do that. I hope he's going to do that. Miles Johns by decision via wrestle fudge, but I'm nowhere near comfortable in this one.
Yeah. This is very 50-50 for me too, man. It's a possibility of a very fun fight, though. All my notes.
Agreed. I agree with that.
What's up?
I agree with that. It can be a fun one, but it could also be boring as hell.
It could be boring.
Yeah.
Curious to see where Cody Gibson's wrestling is at 37 years old, and then in turn his cardio. Now, I will say his cardio looked really goddamn good versus Brad Katona. So, listen, all the notes that I have written here are breaking down, I'm not a Miles Johns fan, man. I think, I'm just not a Miles Johns fan. And I did appreciate his last performance. All my notes here, the latter part of my notes basically are for me picking Miles Johns. I've changed my mind. I'm taking another underdog here. Have I taken every underdog? I'll go through it in a second here. But, yeah, I'm going to take Cody Gibson, man. I don't think Miles Johns has the cardio to last. Here's the thing. Even at 37 years old, it's weird to say that. But if Cody Gibson – now, here's my thing, Dino. If Cody Gibson only went so hard and put on such a sick fight with Brad Katona because it was like his chance to get in and all. But I feel like there's no way he's not looking at it as like every next fight, it could be his last fight, right? So I just got to go with him, man. I just think he's got more dog in him. He's got more cardio. He's much longer. Pause. The wrestling, I mean, we'll see. But like Miles Johns is is noticeably shorter than him, right? At least that's how I feel about them, like looking at them. Yeah. 5'10", 5'7", 5-inch reach advantage. Yeah, man. It was very 50-50 for me. I've changed my mind. I'm going Cody Gibson by decision. I don't think Miles Johns has what it takes to outlast somebody like Cody Gibson.
Look, man, I don't hate it. The only thing with Miles,
I thought for sure you were picking Cody Gibson.
Right. Look, here's the thing with Miles Johns, man. He's one of those people, Dino, that's like you always get these super athletic guys that come in with like a wrestling base, right? So he's so damn athletic. He has a good wrestling background. He has real power. He has everything you need to be a beast. But then he's just such like a 50-50 kind of guy. It's frustrating. But I feel like on his best day, he can beat guys that are way above him in terms of like talent or name or whatever the case is.
He looked good last fight, man.
He's just frustrating. Yeah, man, I agree. He did look good. So I'll stick with him here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. By the way, I checked. I picked 3 out of 5 so far. I picked the underdog. So
okay. Right on.
For what that's worth. It's a weird card. Weird odds. Anyway, next fight of the night, we've got Ricardo Ramos. Is it Ricardo? Ricardo? Fucking sounds stupid. Ricardo Ramos. That's dumb. Versus Julian Erosa. This is a straightforward one for me, man. Ricardo Ramos is just better, right? I think he knocks out Julian Erosa in the first round. Erosa's been chinned badly in his last couple. Padilla knocked him out, who's on this card too. Ramos simply just passes the eye test more for me. I got to go with the ascending fighter versus somebody who's on the decline. Got subbed by Charles Jourdain because Ricardo Ramos may be a little bit dumb. He doesn't make the best decisions, so I'm sure he can find a way to lose this fight. But, yeah, it really left his neck out that time. It was just super fucking dumb. But he's got that, shooter box, Charles Oliveira style, right? He kind of like looks the part. Julian Erosa, very hittable, keeps his hands super low. I'm going first round knockout for Ramos.
Cool. Was it Julian Erosa, Juicy J's last fight against Padilla? That was the fight where like it was kind of like a weird knockout, right? Like an early stoppage and like he was good.
I don't remember, bro.
Yeah, I think that was the fight. But yeah, he is on a 2-fight skid. Even though that one was kind of sus. Look, man, I like Juicy J, but you're right. Ricardo Ramos, he's super damn dangerous. He's long-bodied, real power. He's got really good sub skills. He's only 28. He is ascending, like you said, man. So it boils down to a couple of things for me. Ramos is younger. He's more dangerous. Julian Erosa is a little bit of a dog. He's very tough to finish. I feel like he may be able to grind through a lot of the adversity he faces in this fight. But at the end of the day, Ramos isn't like – to me, Ramos is just clearly the better fighter. I'm going to Ramos, but I'm going by decision, Dino. I think Juicy J puts on like a good performance for himself and kind of survives a lot of troubling situations.
Very possible. Very possible. I don't feel particularly strongly about it. That's just what I went with.
Yeah.
Anyway, next fight of the night, we've got Trey Ogden taking on Kurt Holobaugh. What do you think about this one?
I actually don't hate this fight. I don't hate the last two fights either, but I don't really.
Is this the prelim feature fight?
Yes, it's the final prelim. Trey Ogden, man, he's kind of an underrated grappler for me. Dino, he's got decent striking. He has good power. He kind of has more power than we think. I feel like low key, good powerful takedowns, good submission game. Last time out, he beat Nicholas Mota. But that was another fight that ended kind of weirdly. The ref stopped it, but Mota was like awake and is whatever. That turned out to be another no contest. He's impressive, man. He impressed me. I didn't think much of him before that, and that kind of like turned my thoughts on Ogden. He's taking on Kurt Holobaugh. Check this out. Kurt Holobaugh, 0-6 UFC record.
Yeah, keep going. My fucking light just went out, but
you're good, brother. 0-6 in the UFC. Now he's back. Of course, he did just win the Ultimate Fighter last season. He's a striker. He's got some good pressure. He's always plotting forward, and he stays super damn busy on the feet. The wrestling's just okay. The BJJ's okay. I feel like at this point, we kind of understand that Kurt Holobaugh, with his 0-6 record, which is really like a 1-5, because I think there was an overturned fight in there. We understand that he's not really high-level UFC caliber if he is UFC caliber. I feel like Ogden's been more impressive. I know for sure I've been more impressed with him. I feel like he's going to dominate this fight. He's going to use his wrestling, stay safe enough to not get subbed, but wear down Kurt Holobaugh. I feel like it's going to be a rinse-repeat cycle of that. Just takedowns and just grinding until he eventually finds himself a finish. I'm going round 2 RNC for a new my boy in Trey Ogden. I like him.
Oh, interesting. He really did impress me too, man. I didn't think he was that good. Now, I also don't think a lot of Mota, I'll be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was robbed of a win last time. I pretty much agree with you across the board. I think Ogden's just better everywhere. You know, even though Holobaugh won his UFC debut against Hubbard, I think he's got a lot of holes in his game. Maybe the win was even a little bit fluky. You know, I don't know. He leaves himself open. I don't think he has a takedown defense to stay on his feet, like you said. He's more of a volume striker. I think Trey Ogden probably has a little bit more power, surprisingly. So yeah, I think he's gonna land some nice counter punches. He's gonna land some takedowns. I just think he's better everywhere. I'm taking Ogden. I'll take him by sub too. I'll take him by sub round 2.
Let's get it. I love that we're in agreement on that one.
Yes, sir. Moving on. Next fight of the night, we've got Luis Pajuelo taking on Fernando Padilla.
Let
me see where my notes are for this one. Here we go.
Yeah. Dino, real quick, what's the theme of this card? I feel like there should be a theme, and there's no theme to this card. It's just like weird matchups that don't make sense.
It seems like the most of all the shit cards that we've seen recently, it seems like the most hastily thrown together, nonsensical last one.
I'm saying, bro.
And it is the most pathetic in terms of co-main event, at least. The co-main event is the worst one of all of them. Like
that's a prelim ass fight, but we'll get there.
Bro, on a fight night. But anyway, listen, Fernando Padilla, have you seen this guy? Yeah. Physically, have you seen him?
Yeah.
Bro has no chin. Like physically has no chin.
Oh yeah. You always say that about him.
No jaw, dude. So listen, Pajuelo, Peruvian champion boxer in a country that likes boxing, right? Padilla is obviously, you know, he's got some skills, so on and so forth. He's looked okay, right? But like, I don't know, man. You know, I don't see either of these guys shooting takedowns. I know Padilla has a decent reach advantage. I just think he's kind of fucking soy, to be honest with you. Like the chin is sus. Like it looks sus, and I think there's something to be said about that. Now he did put on a decent performance against Kyle Nelson, right? Which Kyle Nelson's not bad at all. So this is close for me, man. But I'm gonna take another fucking underdog here in Luis Pajuelo. I think he chins this guy at some point. I'll also say it's super 50-50 to me because there is a 7-inch reach advantage too that I have to mention for Padilla, and he's, you know, has more experience too. But I don't know, man. I'm just not a fan. In this last fight, I wasn't super impressed. Kind of lost respect for me. Yeah, I'm going with another underdog in Pajuelo. I think he chins him in the second round.
All right, check this out, Dino. I'm also taking Pajuelo. I'm also taking him KO round 2. I just trust him more, man. Look, Padilla just lost to Kyle Nelson, right? And you just talked a little bit about Kyle Nelson. He's a good fighter. He's solid. I feel like Pajuelo is essentially a little bit better of a version of Kyle Nelson. That's the way I feel about this one. Yes, it's two strikers. I don't imagine it goes to the ground. If it does go to the ground, Padilla is very damn active with his guard, as a lot of those long-bodied, skinny guys are. He's constantly just throwing legs up and all that kind of shit. But yeah, man, I agree. I don't know about the chin. I am worried about it. Maybe it's just like a physical thing, a looking at it kind of thing. But I feel like Pajuelo is going to get that TKO in round 2, man. If for nothing more than just me being impressed by what I've seen of him.
Yeah, let's get it, bro.
Come on.
Moving on. Next fight of the night, we've got Billy Quarantillo, taking on Youssef Zalal, making his UFC return. He was cut, and then he won 3 fights on the regional scene.
Yeah.
What do you think about this one?
Yeah. All right. Billy Q, another my boy, man. So to me, it's kind of simple, but it's definitely a weird fight, right? Billy Q, Dino, he's a very nasty grappler. He's an okay striker, but he's one of those like awkward strikers that's difficult to get a hold of and like kind of control, right? Youssef Zalal, as you mentioned, back in the UFC after a 3-fight win streak outside of the promotion. He's a stick and move kind of fighter. He's just got like okay takedowns. So really, he just wants to kind of like touch you up and move. To me, it's obvious. Youssef Zalal was just here. I know he made some improvements. He has looked improved, but like he's not a high caliber UFC guy. And Billy Quarantillo has shown that he can bang with and beat some really good UFC guys. I feel like minus 165 is a little bit of free cheese. I'm going Billy Q by decision, man. It just makes a lot of sense to me. Zalal, not too dangerous of a fighter. So I don't really see a finish unless it's Quarantillo's. And yeah, Billy Q by decision.
I agree with you, man. It's crazy. It's like I've seen a lot of guys, like a lot of people picking Youssef Zalal, which to me doesn't make any fucking sense. I think Billy Q could potentially be better everywhere. I guess Youssef Zalal is maybe the better striker, but
yeah, like technically Youssef Zalal, he looks clean. He looks clean. He looks crisp when he's throwing, but it's just like there's really nothing behind it. Like I feel like his opponents don't really sense danger.
Yeah.
But then, he was the one that had the fight with Ilia Topuria, right?
Yeah, and he did okay. But listen, Billy Q does a good job staying out of shots. I know he got knocked the fuck out by what's his name? Brazilian guy, spinning kicks.
Charles Oliveira.
No, God damn it. Anyway, whatever.
Junior Dos Santos.
Fuck you. Anyway, listen, it's a guy coming back. Good for him for getting those wins on the regional scene. He's going to be outclassed in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. Yeah, and if you look at the guys that he beat, they're mostly cans. So I'm not super impressed by that. I think, minus 165 is a steal. I fully agree with you on that. I'm taking Billy Q by sub in round 2.
Okay, I like that. Maybe that's a little odd you can play, right? Get a little better odds. Let's get it.
Anyway, moving on. Next fight of the night, we've got Payton Talbott. He's taking on Cameron Saaiman. This is a fun one, man. This is actually like one of the rare fights I'm like somewhat looking forward to here. Two young guys.
The people's co-main event.
Huh?
The people's co-main event.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, both these guys are a little bit wild. They have a lot of upside. They got some holes in their game. Saaiman's 3 wins in the UFC. Do they look the best? I don't think so. Saaiman, in my opinion, is definitely going to be better on the ground. Talbot is for sure going to be better on the feet, though. Saaiman, I feel like kind of got exposed by C-Rod in his last fight. So Payton Talbot, I think, still has more hype behind him. He's long. He's powerful. I think he can wear Saaiman down. I just don't think Saaiman really has the weapons to take advantage of the weaknesses of Talbot as much. I'm taking Talbot. I'm taking him by decision in what's hopefully going to be a fun fight.
Yeah. Here's my thought process on this whole thing. I think it's awful matchmaking by the UFC because, as we know, when you get these young guys, Cameron Saaiman was undefeated his last time out, right? And as you mentioned, they gave him C-Rod. We see the treatment that the UFC is giving C-Rod. They want him to lose to these undefeated young guys, even though he's a young guy who's a dog. So maybe give C-Rod a little bit of a push, but that's another story for another day. But That's what they want for Cameron Saaiman. It makes sense. South Africa, you got Dricus as a champion now. It's a new market that you're getting into. So they want to push Cameron Saaiman. Then on the other end of the coin, you look at Payton Talbott, and it's like he's got everything the UFC could possibly want for a kid to push, right? He kind of has like a little bit of that Sean O'Malley factor to him. He's like long-bodied. He's got the big hair. He's like tatted up. He's a little like goofy. You know what I'm saying? And he's a flashy-ass striker. So I don't really get why the UFC wants to give one of these guys either a loss in Talbott's case or another loss in Cameron Saaiman's case. But regardless, you know, I don't really love Cameron Saaiman, but he is a good fighter. He's well-rounded, good leg kicks, some decent takedowns. Talbott, he's a legit prospect in my eyes. Great power. Low-key, he does have like the flashiness to me to be a superstar, you know. Anyways, the difference to me in this one is going to be the pure power of Payton Talbott. Yeah, he's just legit, and I think he could find himself a nasty KO that would really put him on people's radars. And when we watched him fight last time out in his UFC debut, we were at the bar with Captain Eric and his boy and GK. There was other people there, but Captain Eric liked him a lot too, for what that's worth. So we're sitting with a pro world champion MMA coach, and he was impressed by the kid.
That's a great point. That's a great point. But yeah, I'm excited to see him, and he's a kid that could have some hype behind him. Cameron Saaiman, I think there's less hype to be had there. So I'm sure the UFC wants Payton.
Do you think it's because of the loss, Dino?
I just think I've seen who he can be.
Okay.
You know?
Right, 'cause his wins aren't impressive, really, right? Terrence Mitchell, who's absolute dog water. Mana Martinez, like whatever. And then Steven Kozlow, who, like, I guess we don't really know about. If there's any one of those guys that we don't know about, it's Kozlow. But, yeah, not too impressive, man. But we'll see. I think he's got a lot of room to grow. And I know they're busting their ass out there in South Africa, so we'll see.
Yep. No, I don't think he's bad. I mean, I think he'll stick around, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, next fight. We've got Edmen Shahbazyan. He's taking on AJ Dobson. Dino Bamman, what do you think about this fight?
All right, the golden boy, Edmen Shahbazyan. He's back. Dino, long-bodied striker, good kick game, some good power. He doesn't have too much to offer on the ground defensively. He's kind of a specialist, but he does have a little bit of offensive grappling if he really, really needs it. There was a time when Edmen Shahbazyan was seen as possibly the next big thing in his division. He was the next big prospect, and that seems so goddamn long ago at this point.
Too much too soon, man. A perfect example of too much too soon.
Right, and the biggest thing that tripped me absolutely out when looking at this is the age. Edmen Shahbazyan is 26. I feel like he's like 34, dude. 26 years old. So some tough losses, some tough times for the golden boy, Edmen Shahbazyan. Hopefully he's been working on himself and we see an improved version. At 26, there still is potential. Like this, like what's the Michael Jordan thing? The fake Michael Jordan quote, the ceiling is the roof.
Yeah.
The ceiling might still be the roof, but it might not. It might have been too much too soon, and that's it. He's fighting AJ Dobson. AJ, of course, a couple weeks ago was supposed to be taking on our boy Tresean Gore. Tresean Gore had to pull out of that fight due to injury. Dobson's a good striker, man. He's got fast hands. He's got some good power. He's willing to engage and get brawly as hell. He's very, very physically strong, and he has some solid takedowns. I'm going to go ahead and take Edmen Shahbazyan, Dino. I feel like skill for skill, he's definitely the better fighter. He should be light years beyond AJ in terms of skills. I know it could be a situation where I end up with egg on my face and Shahbazyan may just be done. It may just be the end of Edmen Shahbazyan. But I just know for a fact, skill-wise, he's so much better. I feel like he should outclass him on the feet and keep himself upright enough to win a decision. So Shahbazyan, I'll go 29-28.
Yeah, listen, man. I don't think you'll have egg on your face at all. This is one of the surer things for me on the card, to be honest with you. I think this is good odds again for Edmen Shahbazyan. I think he's just gonna be so much better. I think he's gonna be. First of all, I expect this fight to basically be a technical striking match, and Edmen Shahbazyan I think has faster hands, probably has just as much power. Like I said, too much too soon, man. I want to see this guy do better. I want to see him do good. AJ Dobson is boring as shit, man. Low volume, not a ton of power. You know, Shahbazyan has better cardio. He's faster. The power maybe is like close, but like I think he's got a wider array of strikes. He's going to be faster on the feet. Also, I just want to say, you know, I know he's 1-4 in his last 5. He beat Dalcha Lagambula. But let's go through his losses real quick. Yeah. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, Nasruddin Imavov, Jack Hermanson, Derek Brunson, He's fighting Derek. He fought Derek Brunson when he's fucking 22 years old, man.
And Derek Brunson at that point was like the number 5 guy in the world, like number 4 guy in the world.
Exactly.
Right?
Fought Jack Hermanson when he was 23. Fought Nasruddin Imavov when he was 23. Like, Fluffy Hernandez, okay, yeah, fair play. He lost to him, but Fluffy Hernandez is really fucking good. And also, don't forget, Brad Tavares is such a tough guy to finish. He head kick finished Brad Tavares in the first round in 2019 when he was fucking 21 years old or whatever it is. So I still have hope for him. I think this is a very straightforward fight. Give me Edmen Shahbazyan by second round TKO.
Awesome. And then I'll also say this about Shahbazyan, Dino. Of those 4 losses in his last 5, what's like the common factor, right? I guess besides Nasruddin Imavov, even though he does have it, but it's grapplers, right? Like Derek Brunson dominated him on the ground. Jack Hermanson, full grappler. Nasruddin Imavov finished him in like a crucifix position. Anthony Hernandez, as dangerous as it gets with the jiu-jitsu. So I don't really know that AJ Dobson's even close to any of those guys as far as the ground game's concerned. That's why I mentioned he does have a little bit of wrestling, but not enough to make me too worried for Edmen Shahbazyan in this one.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Moving on to the most pathetic co-main event of the year. We've got Karl Williams, and he's taking on Justin Tafa. Yeah, this is a very classic striker versus grappler. Karl Williams being the grappler, Justin Tafa being the striker. You know, he was supposed to fight not too long ago, had a hurt leg or something like that, I want to say it was. So, like, is he fine now so short after that? Listen, man, I want Justin Tafa to win it. I think Karl Williams is boring as shit. I don't think he's going – I don't think either of these guys are going anywhere, let's be honest, as far as the heavyweight division goes. But this fight is very, very similar to what we just saw in Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura, right? I kind of expect the same thing to happen here, to be honest with you. I expect the Samoan Polynesian guy, right, Justin Tafa, I expect him to be taken down and just kind of wrestle fudged at this point. Is he live for a massive knockout? He sure is, right? I just, coming off a leg injury, is he even good right now? Yeah, I think once he gets down, he's not getting back up. Karl Williams, pretty physically strong. I just think it's a bad matchup. I'm going Karl Williams by decision.
Yeah, I get it. And look, here's the weirdest thing about this fight was supposed to be Karl Williams versus Junior Tafa. Right. Junior Tafa stepped in for Justin Tafa a couple weeks ago. He had this fight scheduled and stepped in because he was there with his brother. He got his ass kicked and injured. And then Justin Tafa's like, oh, well, Junior Tafa's out of his fight. I'll step in for my brother. He did it for me. I'll do it for him. So that's, I guess, kind of cool, right? It's a little bit weird. I don't imagine it to be close at all. We know the Tafa brothers are not all that well-rounded. They are strictly strikers. They're one-dimensional as hell. All they have is kickboxing and power. And if they fight someone that has good wrestling and a good chin, and they make it to the second round, the fight's over. Justin Tafa has 1 win in his pro career after the first round. So anytime he's been in a second round, he's ended up losing that fight, except for one time against the 4-5 guy from Tonga. So, like, he's got to get you out of there ASAP, Rocky. And Karl Williams is kind of a dog wrestler. And if anything, he's scrappy as hell. If we get to the second and Williams gets a takedown, this fight should be over. So I'm going Williams. I'll go late second round TKO to ground and pound.
Let's get it. Moving on to the main event of the evening, we've got Amanda Ribas. She is taking on Thug Rose Namajunas. Dino, what do you think about this one?
Thug Rose, baby. All right, 125 pounds here, Dino. Something to note. So Rose, of course, having her second fight at the flyweight division. Look, from what I saw last time out, Dino, from Thug Rose Namajunas, in my mind, I was convinced that she was going to get her ass whooped by Manon Fior. Manon Fior, an absolute dog. We're going to see her either next week or in 2 weeks. She's taking on Erin Blanchfield. That should be a good main event for like a women's fight night main event. But anyways, like, she looked good, man, with a broken hand. She hung in there with a girl that's bigger than her, a girl that we think is probably the best striker in the division. So I was pretty damn impressed by Thug Rose, even though I shouldn't have been surprised, right? It's Rose Namajunas. She's a multiple-time world champion. Regardless, man, I feel like Thug Rose, when her back is against the wall, Dino, that's when she's at her best. She may honestly be better everywhere versus Amanda Ribas. I think the only way Rose loses this fight if she's in her own head. Maybe Amanda Ribas can beat her to a decision, but I don't think so. I feel like Rose she seems hungry. She seems motivated. I think she pieces Ribas up for the better part of this fight. 49-46 Thug Rose. I think it's really all about her mentality in this one.
Yeah. Man, I like Amanda Ribas. I used to like her more. She takes so much damage, man. She just takes a lot of damage. Yeah, it's a 5-rounder too. I think that's going to be key here. Maybe in a 3-rounder, Ribas. And listen, she's got a ton of heart, man. In her last fight, she came back and was getting her ass whooped, and then came back and won it. That was crazy as fuck. She's super game. She's not afraid to get hit, but she just takes too much damage, man. And look at the level of competition too, and the wins that they have. You know, unless Rose does like something that she did in the Esparza fight, where just like bizarre, like what the fuck is going on. I don't see that here. It's a 5-rounder. I don't see Ribas winning 3 out of 5 rounds. I agree with you, man. I'm going with Thug Rose by decision as well.
All right, and then one thing to point out, right, Dino? So we look at Rose Namajunas. Her only fight in 2023 was Manon Fior. She looked good in that one, like we said. In 2022, the only fight was the Carla Esparza fight, which I was at, which, as we all know, one of the worst fights you'll ever see, and a pathetic performance. Just pathetic. But before that, she beat Wei Li twice in 2021. In 2020, she beat Jessica Andrade. Like, she's looked good.
That's what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah, since 2020, man, she's been on it in every single fight. She's been on it. Say what you will about the last Wei Li fight, the decision, but like, damn, dude, Thug Rose she's her, but just seems like Carla Esparza, for whatever reason, has Rose Namajunas' number, and she has her scared. I really think that's what it is, and we know Rose can definitely get into her own head. But anyways, guys, that's the card. Dino, really quickly, next week, you ready for this? You ready? Next week, we get a main event. I was right. It was Aaron Blanchfield versus Manon Fior. We get Vicente Luque, Joaquin Buckley, Chris Weidman's return again. SD Dumas, for what it's worth, versus Nursultan Ruzabayev. Kyle Nelson, Chidi Njokuani. Move to the prelims. Nate the Train versus Jamal Emmers.
That's a much better card.
Verna and Lupi is a good fight. And then, of course, our boy Dennis Bazookia. And, of course, another our boy. You ready for who else it is, Dino? Anton Turkali, the pleasure man.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought he was out of the UFC.
I know, and I texted you like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, dude, he's still here.
Who is he fighting?
He's fighting Ibu Aslan.
Oh.
So we'll see how that goes. Also, Andre Petrosky, Jacob Malkoun's a pretty good fight. It's a decent card next week. I know we're kind of shitting on it, but
listen, I'm okay with those kind of cards. I'm not sitting here being a fucking douche about it. It's just like, this is fucking pathetic, dude. What a pathetic card. Anyway, that's all I got, man.
Yeah, guys. So that's all he's got. That's all I've got. My name's Dino Bam Bam. That right there is DS. We are the 10-7 MMA. If you guys enjoyed, consider doing us a favor, hitting that little subscribe button, ringing the bell. Dino, are you feeling a little better? Will you do the bell this time?
I'm not doing it, bro.
He's not going to do the bell, guys. Just make him happy. If you guys give us some more subs, maybe he'll do the bell for you. So do that. Follow us on Instagram at the 10-7 MMA. Next week, we will have some more content for you. Sorry, guys. I was on like a 40-hour not sleeping streak this week. That's why the video's late. That's why we haven't put up all our content. But next week, we'll be back on the grind for you. Guys, he's DS. I'm Dino Bam Bam. We're the 10-7 MMA. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.